No, I feel you. Like, I don't know. I was just looking through it. Like, Chandler Parsons is going to be guaranteed $25 million 2 years from now. Or
That's
not guaranteed, but like he's going to be his contract's for $25 million 2 years from now. It's ridiculous.
that is. I haven't heard that name. Most he's on the Mavericks, but like haven't heard that name in a
He's
while.
not on the Mavericks. He's on the
Okay,
Grizzlies.
that shows you how much.
Exactly. I mean, there's just some. I'm running down the salaries in the NBA, and it's just incredible. Like Gallinari's still up there. I mean, just the fact that
He was big shit when he like got that.
Carmelo's salary is still 12th highest, and he's going to get paid almost $28 million next year.
Yeah, I was watching highlights of Carmelo the other day, and you'd like forget how like agile he was at one point.
Yeah, it's really depressing.
Yeah, he was quick, and he is. Yeah,
and now he's awful.
Yeah, he's pretty bad.
I didn't realize Drew Holiday had such a big bag either. I don't know. There's just some players that really surprised me going up and down this list. Mainly Paul Millsap being the third player on that list for highest salary this year.
That is wild. I think
he's got that huge bag out in Denver and then missed like half the entire season injured.
Check.
So.
What's up? Excuse me. Alec, we're not going yet.
No.
Okay.
I'm just talking random shit about the fucking contracts in the NBA.
What is that painting over your... Okay, hold on. We are officially go... Is everyone recording right now?
I am.
Give me 1 sec.
Go. I'm good.
Andrew, you know if you're in my house, you're always being recorded.
You're always being watched. Thank you, Danny Ocean.
All right, I am.
Okay. Will Mosley, what is that painting over your right? I guess it's your right shoulder, but the left from how I'm looking at you right now.
That would be a lovely indigenous painting that
oh wow,
was found at a swap market.
I'm sorry, where did you find that?
I'm kidding. It's something my girlfriend painted while she was in school.
Is there a way that you can appropriately describe what that painting is without going over the top?
Nope. No, I cannot.
Does anyone want to try?
Once he said his girlfriend painted it, I don't want to say anything.
What? No, Matt.
What? No, come on.
No one's saying the art's bad. No one is saying the art's bad at all. The art is good. It's a painting. Okay, it is a painting for sure. I want to see if someone here has the cojones to sort of lay out what that painting is.
Well, I think she was a queen in her time.
Okay, no, we're not talking about a story. What is the painting, Mac?
A painting of a woman.
It is a painting of a woman. She looks like is indigenous the word for it? Because I'm not really sure. Okay, moving on. No. What?
She's tan.
She's darker than me.
She's definitely. I think 98% of the world is probably darker than you, Mac.
That's fair.
That is fair.
Like you're
and two of the percent are right here. You and Will.
No way. Oh, I'm definitely tanner than you are, bro. Get out of here, dude. I play golf. I play golf 4 times. I'm at least playing 4 times a week right now. There's no way that you are tanner than I am right now. This is a terrible place to start, but I will seriously hold my ground here, man. What?
I'm outside every day too.
So anyway, that's 2 random places to start, but this is from the Nosebleeds podcast, and we like to start fearlessly around here. And so I'll let you guys behind the curtain a little bit. You guys as in the listeners, like we haven't had a lot of time here to sort of discuss what we're going to talk about. So we're just sort of going to get into it. You had the Golden State Warriors winning the NBA Finals in 4 games. I'm sure Will Mosley wants to get into that. And you, of course, had the Washington Capitals winning in 5. Me giving you the terrible pick last week. Sorry for that, but that's going to happen. And that's the reason that I don't gamble anymore. But Will Mosley, what did you find most interesting from those 4 terribly uninteresting NBA Finals games?
I don't know, 4 seconds of JR just running out all hopes of LeBron staying in Cleveland. Like, that game was the most deflating thing that I've ever watched in live television, and I've watched the Seahawks get that onside kick against my Packers and win the NFC the next game. Like, that was incredibly sad. Like, just, I'm not a Cavs fan. I'm not. I like LeBron James in his game, and I wanted to see a good series, and I did truly think that if they won game 1, they had a chance to beat the Warriors, even as bad as that team was, because he was doing something magical. He deserved to win that game. JR blew that game. And after that game, I didn't watch another game all the way through because there was no chance it wasn't going to be anything but a sweep. He was deflated. You could see it in that video clip of him in the 90 seconds when he sat there speechless.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was just I think that was kind of a microcosm for like the Cavs year this year, right? This just everything that could go wrong kind of went wrong. Tip couldn't hold up. The guys they brought in couldn't play in the playoffs, and at every single turn, that was probably LeBron's best playoff game ever. Like, if the man has ever deserved to win a playoff game, I mean, I think it was 51 points. I think it was that one. At the same time, though, did you not feel like at the exact moment that JR ran the ball away, the series went from maybe the Cavs lose 6-2 to sweep?
Mac Young, you're a Cavs fan. What's your honest assessment? How did you feel throughout the course of it?
I mean, while I did make the prediction that they would lose in 4, I'm a fan. It's my team. So, like, it was still incredibly disheartening to watch. I thought they should have won game 1. I thought they played well game 1 as a team and LeBron. And then from that moment on, like Alex said, it was a microcosm that just went downhill fast right after that. And every game after that was shittier and shittier and shittier until you get to game 4, which for some weird reason I had hopes that they would somehow come back, and I watched the entire fucking game, and I have no idea why I did that.
That's torture.
It was sad. It was sad to watch. It was. And then watching him go out, I feel like I got cheated on, man. It's been a rough couple of days for me.
I mean, I think that they stopped trying the minute Durant hit that shot in game 3. Like, they were.
I mean, game 4 might as well not been played.
Oh, exactly. And I agree, man. That's the thing about these Warriors, right? Like, they just wear teams down. And I think a lot of times we like to think about series as just like going out and winning individual games. But more often than not, it's more just about like the team who can sort of like have the energy the longest. And it's always the Warriors because they have the most talented players, right? Like, they can just outlast all these other teams. And dude, Cleveland had probably the hardest road that LeBron has had in he's had 8 consecutive finals now. It was probably the hardest road this year to the finals. So, I mean, dude, I thought it would be a sweep also. I mean, I think the more interesting story here is like, dude, can we be over the Warriors now? Like, can we figure out a way to sort of just like not do this anymore? Like, we get it, dude.
A minute.
Like, dude, like, I feel like a lot of Kevin Durant, he just went there because he wanted us to realize how big of a baller he is, and clearly he's a huge fucking baller. But like, the way that the NBA gets interesting this offseason, in my opinion, is like it would have been had Kevin Durant opted out, and now that he's opted in, it's like, dude, I don't give a fuck what LeBron's doing. Like, I don't think that the calculus doesn't work. You can put LeBron on any team, and they're not beating Golden State. So why not just opt in and stay where your charity is and where your wife's from and where you're from?
Yeah. See, I feel you. He should have stayed in there. I think that it would make sense to stay there ideally. I don't think he's going to stay there. I don't think it works for him anymore. I mean, I have one last question on just the finals before we get to that. Any of you three, if I gave you $100,000 a year, do you think that you could give me 6 hard fouls and 99% free throw shooting? If that was your job and you had nothing to do but just shoot free throws and give me 6 hard fouls, could you make a free throw? Because George Hill makes enough money to make that one last free throw and win game one before JR has to dribble it out. And one of the guys at work that plays basketball all the time looked at me and was like, dude, if you paid me his salary, I would never miss that free throw. It doesn't truly make sense to me how someone can miss that free throw when you're that good of a free throw shooter.
I mean, I don't think I understand what your friend's saying. Like, he wasn't put in that position. This guy was. I mean, this is George Hill, who still shot 80% from the free throw line. Still having trouble with that word. Still shot 80% from the free throw line for the playoffs, and he missed. That's the one he missed. I mean, yeah, he should have made it, but I don't think I agree with your friend that he would have made that. Like, hands down, would have made that.
Dude, I'm amazed that an NBA player can miss a free throw, man. Like, that's more the point that I'm saying. I don't understand how an NBA player can miss any free throw, much less a free throw that seals a game.
I mean, I feel like this is like, there's always like guys who played baseball in high school are like, oh, like that era happened, right? Like 86 Red Sox, like I wouldn't let that ground ball go through my legs. Like, I don't know. I think like we're looking at the wrong stuff here, right? Like Shaq, shot 40% for most of his career. Andre Drummond has had years in the 30s. Like clearly, like especially for Andre Drummond, there's been situations where it's like the one thing you need to be a consistent player is somebody who can play in the fourth quarter because we're not going to foul you. Like I just think that. I mean, he missed a free throw. You know, that happens. But then we can't run away from the literally pick the ball up.
Oh, I agree. JR is not going to run away from this. He has to own it. But JR running that ball out and not taking a shot and missing it is the only thing that saves George Hill from being the devil in Cleveland right now. If it was not for if JR turns around and pulls up and Kevin Durant just swats him because he's that much taller than him and he's right there leaning over him, then we're talking about how did George Hill miss that? And he's the worst player in Cleveland, and he's the one everyone hates for game one.
I've been thinking about
I'm just saying that the only reason why we're not trashing George Hill for missing a free throw that he should absolutely make as an NBA veteran, the only reason that we're not making that is because J.R. Smith then did just the dumbest thing in NBA history.
Yeah, and I don't know that they would have won if he hit the free throw. There's 4 seconds left?
Yeah.
The Warriors had a timeout.
Left, it would have tied the game. And they had,
No, they would have been down by 1. The Warriors in a situation where they need to get 2 points. Yeah, the Cavs were up by 1. The Warriors were down by 1. 5 seconds left to get 2 points on the board. I'd take those odds, right?
The way that the game was going, I wouldn't. The way that game was going, LeBron was everything was turning up LeBron until George Hill, LeBron even fed the pass that would have been George Hill's shot that he got fouled on. And then he missed that free throw, and then he got saved from getting trashed on by J.R. Smith doing the dumbest thing in NBA Finals history. And we're not trashing him. We're just trashing JR for it. And what I'm saying is I want to trash the entire Cleveland team besides LeBron James.
I think we should just trash Jordan Clarkson because that was the worst finals appearance. Every time he went in, it was like you had to hold your breath because it was like, what is he going to do this time? And even in his warm-ups, if guys are watching the video clips of him warming up, he caught a ball, went up to shoot a three, and the ball just dropped from his hands before he even went up. He just had everything went bad for him that time. It was minus LeBron. It was just a shitty performance by everyone.
Yeah, and I see this quote come out today where Durant's talking about how it's easier to look like the best player in the world when you're on a worse team than when you're on a really good team. And I'm like, and I'm just thinking like, yeah, but literally everyone on LeBron's team would be the worst starting player on any finals team, and everyone on Kevin Durant's team would be a starting player on anyone else's finals team. Like every single one of the Warriors would end up on the floor for another team in the finals. Like I just don't understand how like you were saying, Andrew. Like it's just boring. Like I was over it as soon as it happened. Like I wanted to watch the basketball that was going to be around the Warriors, but honestly, when it gets down to the finals, like I said, after game one, I'm mentally checked out.
I mean, I think it's fair to say that we're at a point where LeBron James gets a lot more credit for losing in this finals than Kevin Durant gets for winning in it. And that's got to feel exasperating to Kevin Durant, who honestly probably thought to himself that going to Golden State was totally going to change how we viewed him.
Yeah, no,
and
I mean
think that's incredible. Like that's just incredibly interesting to me that he could work so hard. He's won 2 in a row now, and we're still at a point where we're like, yeah, but also like we want to see struggle as sports fans. Like no one wants it to look that easy, and it was just easy. Like the thing that was most frustrating, like the whole thing was just frustrating. It was terrible. It was a blowout. And I understand game 1 was great, but that's just not enough to make up for the fact that the rest of the series was trash. But like at the end of the day, dude, Golden State just made it really boring. And I'm not sure how the NBA can sort of continue to do this. Like in my opinion, they have a problem if Golden State can do the same thing next year. They have a serious problem.
What happened to the David Stern logic of just stepping in and being like, no, Chris Paul, you can't go to the Lakers. It's too good. Like, no, we're not going to allow that to happen. Like, no, Kevin Durant, you can't just sign for less money than the maximum. You're the second best player in the NBA. Like, what happened to those days? Because I necessarily wasn't on par for that, but like I'm agreeing with you. Something's got to happen where you're not just watching this dynasty agree to play for less. Because like you said, you want to see them implode from the inside. I don't see it happening. Klay Thompson says all the right things, like he just wants to chill and take a little bit less money. Kevin Durant obviously does. I think Draymond knows his role, and Steph's obviously bagged up.
So I think the issue there is that the Chris Paul situation was a trade, right? So the league can step in for trades that are going to unfairly, unfairly favor one team, like the Lakers being unfairly favored in the Chris Paul trade. And Kevin Durant just decided to sign with the Warriors. But I do think, right, like this finals was long. But the playoffs were long. And they were long because I think we all knew what was going to happen. In the end, LeBron was going to lose to the Warriors. But I think to kind of go back to what Andrew's talking about with Kevin Durant, do you guys think this is going to stand the test of time? Like, do you think when like your son is like players that you got to see, and you're gonna be like, well, LeBron James and Kevin Durant, but he was a coward, so don't be Kevin Durant, son?
I mean, like it's always interesting for me to like think about how these things sort of age, because I do think that like we live in such a reactionary time where we don't have the attention span to like to really feel passionately about Kevin Durant for a long time. But dude, this is such a unique move that he made in such a, I mean, it's been a long period now. It's been 2 years of dominance. Like I think that there is some sort of asterisk that stands next to him for a long time. And maybe it isn't an asterisk, but like, yeah, like I don't think Kevin Durant is a coward for what he did, dude, because he worked within the system that the NBA put out, and he was entitled to do what he did. Now, the point that Mosley brings up to me is valid. Like the fact that he decided that he was going to take less money, even though the marketplace was like, no, you're a max player. Like, that's something that probably was concerning to the players' union. But I mean, at the end of the day, dude, I don't fault Kevin Durant as someone who can sort of like look at it as a third party and make observations. But as a basketball fan, like, I think it's getting to a point where it's fair to say that his decision to go to Golden State has sort of ruined the NBA. And like, I'm not a reactionary person and I'm not a knee jerker, but like, let's be honest, like the series with Houston was good. And so that's really the only one argument where you could be like, yeah, it was pretty competitive, but dude, they swept the best team in the Eastern Conference and it wasn't really all that close. Like it wasn't.
I mean, yeah, their dominance is just going to keep continuing, at least for the foreseeable future. I do think that, unlike you, I do think that LeBron James can make a difference in this shift of power. I think it would be hilarious if LeBron James just like one-upped Kevin Durant by going to Boston right now and then beating him with Boston. Like if him and Kyrie were just like, nah, we don't dislike each other. We just both wanted out of Cleveland. And they ended up like in Boston beating Golden State. I think that would be hilarious. And I think there's a couple other teams that LeBron can move around where it could scare you. And I mean, we got to remember Kawhi Leonard, who possibly is also the second or best player in the league, was out for a full year. And if he comes back 100%, we're looking at a guy one of the only guys who can stop LeBron James and beat him on the other end. So,
dude, I'm really confused why people keep bringing up the Boston scenario. Because like, didn't LeBron and Kyrie just break up? Like, you alluded to it, but can you explain that to me? Like, you don't think, like, I don't see, based on if you believe everything that was said at the time when Kyrie left the Cavaliers is true, then I don't understand how Boston could be a viable option for LeBron.
There's no
one. I personally think with Danny Ainge, there's no player that's untradeable. And I think that he proved by winning multiple games and taking it to 7 against LeBron James in the Eastern Conference Finals with this team without Kyrie, that he doesn't necessarily need Kyrie if he can plug other players in and be better. So I think that's necessarily a tradable option, and that's why I think that's the most likely scenario that he ends up in Boston. But I don't think that like LeBron and Kyrie hate each other. I don't think that there's any like malcontent between the two of them. I think what I thought then, which is Kyrie wanted out of there because he was like, hey, LeBron's definitely going to leave next summer, and then I'm not going to be able to force a trade out because it's not going to be worth it. I want to leave now. And then he got out, and LeBron was like, yeah, I'm still leaving. And so he's like, all right, cool. You want to come here and beat the Warriors? Like, I think that that's a possibility. I don't think it's a high possibility. I think it's more likely that he goes to Philadelphia, LA, or Houston. But, I mean, I don't think there's any malcontent between the two of them. I think it was truly just Kyrie reading the cards and being like, yo, you're going to leave, so I'm going to go ahead and leave. I'm sorry, but I got to do this for me. And then LeBron being like, whatever, that sucks.
I mean, to further your point, I think if you look at it, the Celtics are the only team that's consistently added. I think it's like a 20-point scorer, like 3 of the last 4 years. And in the year that they didn't add one, they added Al Horford, which was considered to be a bigger signing than probably most of the guys outside of Kyrie that they have signed. So if there's a GM who could pull it off, I think that Danny Ainge isn't afraid of making that move. And don't quote me on this, but I think I've seen things where it's saying that Kyrie already feels pretty good about leaving Boston in 2019 to go to the Knicks. So, if there's a situation where they trade Kyrie for LeBron, I think that'd be cool to see. But I think LeBron's probably going to go somewhere in like LA where he can, kind of further his brand as LeBron.
But LA doesn't help him for basketball reasons. And like if there's anything I think that we've learned about him over the last 3 months, it's that he still cares deeply about winning championships, at least in my opinion. And also, I just think it's an incredible testament to the greatness of the Warriors that we can still sit here and discuss that LeBron might go to Boston and that team still might not be good enough to beat them.
Well, and I think that's kind of gives LA point is that they're wherever he goes because of how good the Warriors are. There's no lock, right? He could go to Houston, and you'd still have to feel like, well, Golden State might be able to take them in the finals, right? Like, or I mean, in the conference finals. But
yeah, I agree. I mean, dude, that's why I'm at the point now. Like, that's the reason I'm at a point now where I'm kind of like, I think he's going to opt in and like just sort of stay and ride out and wait on Kawhi and sort of like wait on these other huge pieces.
Do you think a Kawhi trade early in the summer to an LA team and then a LeBron signing there would be something that you could look at?
100%.
I think LA has the young pieces. They have the cap space and they have the GM and the ownership that want to make the moves that they could trade a couple pieces off, get Kawhi, move him there, sign Chris Paul in the offseason if he wants to leave Houston and sign with LeBron in LA. And I think if Chris Paul showed this season, if you put Chris Paul, this LeBron still, and Kawhi Leonard and any of those young pieces from the Lakers together with Luke Walton, yeah, I do think that that's not a Warrior shoe-in. Like, I think if LeBron joins Boston, it's not a Warrior shoe-in. The fact that anyone thought that he could win game one and then possibly take this to 6 or 7 with the Warriors and even show glimpses of winning with this Cavs team, I think shows that, yeah, dude, if I pair him with Paul George and Chris Paul in LA next year, I think that that's a team that could win the finals against the Warriors. I wouldn't be considering the Warriors a walk.
But Will, I think you're constructing a straw man there. Like, I didn't hear anyone saying that the Cavs had any sort of chance of winning that series. And I think, like, we sat here last week on this podcast, and even if the Cavaliers had won game one, I still would have chosen the Golden State to run out the rest of the games and win them all. Like, there was no indication there that team was going to be anywhere near good enough to beat Golden State.
What are you talking about? Steph didn't have like that. Steph was having not that great of a playoffs for most of the playoffs going into it, whether he was injured or on the court or not. He was having a couple high-scoring quarters, but he hadn't put together a good playoff run. None of them really had put together a full playoff run. The Warriors were looking like they had a chink in their armor, and LeBron was looking 100% dominant. So I think that there were a lot of people that were going with LeBron in that, and there were a lot of people out there in the public and like in the media who were choosing LeBron to take it to 6. And I do think that a lot of people during that game one felt that if he won that, he had a real chance of winning that series.
Mac Young, any final thoughts before we hit the break here?
I do. You know, we all love good stories, and especially in the NBA with LeBron and where he's going. And that's pretty much all we're going to talk about all summer is is Kyrie ever going to believe that the earth is flat, and is Michael better than LeBron or vice versa. But I think an interesting story that Will and I exchanged messages about was what if LeBron went to OKC, Paul George stayed there with Russell Westbrook. They go up and play the Warriors for the Western Conference Finals. Russ beats Westbrook, and then LeBron meets Kyrie in the finals and beats him up there.
I mean, it's cool to talk about. Like, dude, it's awesome to talk about all these hypotheticals, but I don't think
that's all they are, though, right? Because, like, who the fuck knows?
That's the thing, too, dude. Alec, anything before we hit the break?
No, let's talk about sports that are going to happen, right? I'm done with it. I am tired of the NBA, and I love it, but I'm tired. Sorry.
Dude, I love the NBA, too, but if this shit keeps happening, like, it's going to grow tiring. Like it just is. And I know Mosley feels the same way. I think we all feel that way. You're listening here to From the Nosebleeds podcast. We will be right back. Cool.
What are we talking about next?
I'm I don't know. Dennis Rodman showed up one day before Kim Jong-un and Trump to Singapore.
You're breaking up real quick. Can you repeat that?
Dennis Rodman has showed up to Singapore one day before Kim Jong-un and Donald Trump are supposed to meet there, and he showed up he stayed at the same hotel. Is he going to be the mediator in that new alliance?
Oh God!
Are we going to get? So we have. There was also something that went on this week where the G7 met, and there was talk about nixing the U.S. from that treaty.
Mac, are you suggesting that we do a politics podcast?
Yeah, are we making this turn?
Dude, I think it's funny that Dennis Rodman, Kim Jong-un, and Donald Trump are all going to meet in a hotel.
I feel like we can stick to Dennis Rodman, but we can't go past that.
That's fair. But isn't that? I thought that was a wild story.
Oh,
that's something like if you said that was happening in 1993, that was happening, people would be shitting their pants.
I think it's fair to say that we're going to have to get creative this summer in terms of how we fill some air time.
Well, we're going to have to talk about baseball eventually.
Are we going to have to talk about baseball eventually, Alec? That is an excellent question because I think if there's one thing that I've learned from the first 6 months of this experience, it's that Will and Mac are unbelievably effective at playing defense against baseball talk.
I'm really fucking good at making people not avoid talking baseball.
Did anyone watch the Ovi celebrations that have been happening in Washington, or the France versus? No, I don't know, dude. Because the France versus U.S. soccer game, that was fun. And they scrapped the whole team and put in a bunch of young guys, and they tied the French first team. That was pretty fun to watch. I don't know. I'm down to talk baseball. If you guys want to talk baseball, Joey Votto, Joey Votto, Joey Votto. That's all I got to say.
Well, see, that's where we're walking into.
I was about to say. I mean, what are we talking baseball? Are we talking college? Are we talking MLB?
Freddie Freeman.
He's leading the NL All-Star vote.
Let's talk Freddie Freeman. I got something to say on Freddie Freeman. Oddly enough.
All right. Let's.
A great 30 seconds.
We're coming to mostly
for
Freddie Freeman.
On Freddie Freeman.
We're coming to mostly for an obscure hot take on Freddie Freeman to start this next segment. Let's break for 5 seconds. How's it going, everyone?
Fuck Freddie Freeman. That's how it's going. That's how I feel.
Where did that come from, dude?
As a guy who's raised in the South, and if you're raised in the South, for you listeners out here, you like the Braves. You might not love baseball, as y'all probably know about me so far, and you might not really care about it. But there's something to go into a summer baseball game, eating a hot dog, having a beer, not paying attention to most of the shitty sport, and just hanging out with your friends for most of the day.
Wow.
And so that's what I did growing up. I'd go down to Atlanta and watch some baseball, watch the Braves. Good times, watching Chipper, the great years. And
you mean the great years where they won how many championships? Those were your great.
Shut up, man. Shut up. I don't want to hear it.
It was like LeBron's stat, dude. It was year after year.
Like I said, I hate baseball. I don't want to talk about it. Anyway, but Freddie Freeman, I don't understand. Every time I look at the stat book, he is the best player, and he's this phenomenal hitter, and I have never turned on a game and watched him get a hit. Every time I've turned on the television and flipped to him and watched an at-bat of Atlanta Braves baseball, it has been a Freddie Freeman grounder to the shortstop, and his chubby thighs try to make it to first, and he can't do it before the ball gets there, and it's terrible. And then he always makes fielding mistakes. And somehow I always see these stats that's he went 4 for 5 with 3 RBIs today.
I mean, baseball is a game of stats, though, isn't it? And if you look at his batting percentage, it's 33%. So most of the time you watch him bat, he's not going to get on base.
Okay.
So why are you surprised?
All right, so much to address. First of all, Mac, if his batting average was 33, he would probably be in single A. I'm guessing it's somewhere.
I said 33%, bro.
What, you're going to be baseball bro now all of a sudden? You just told me 3 minutes ago off. You just told me 3 minutes ago off air that the only thing you know about baseball is, quote, Joey Votto, Joey Votto, Joey Votto. So
were you the one with me that we got in a debacle last year on where you put your worst fielder, and you were saying
God.
Field, and I'll still go after that, dude. That's
like
not
one
true.
of the more ridiculous, obscure debates that we've ever had, which probably points to the fact that, and I think Will mostly would agree with this, that baseball is sort of ridiculous and obscure, like the entire endeavor. I mean, dude, I get what you're saying, Will. Like, I think one of the problems generally with baseball is that they have all these stars, but you can turn on a game. Like, when you turn on a game to watch the Cavs play, you're going to see LeBron James, like, dunk the basketball, and you don't always get that in baseball, and I do think that hurts them.
I mean, it's just so annoying that I want to like this player because he's apparently good for my team, and the Braves are somehow good this year, which makes no sense at all. And he's obviously a big part of that. And yet every time I turn on the television, every time I try to see a highlight, he's grounding out or pop flying out like to a short sack fly or something like that. And it's just, it's never good. And then he has these stats where he's apparently this good hitter. Get him out of here. I want to watch hits. I don't want to know about them later.
Well, the Braves are good this year because they have like one of the better young rosters in the league. And I know that they have a couple really, really young prospects who are expected to be very good players. You know, I don't know, man. It's just, let's get into this right now on air. Like, dude, there's like a conflict here about talking about baseball in June, and I'm not really sure what we're supposed to do with it.
I mean, I'm the last person that wants to talk about baseball in June, but I mean, it's the only sport that's happening. Like Alex said, I'm the biggest NBA fan you're going to find on this podcast, probably in the area. And I'm done with basketball. Like until the draft is the night of the draft and players really start moving around in the NBA and getting traded and moving, I don't really care. Like it just doesn't matter to me. So I've got to watch something. And even I have been watching college baseball and checking MLB scores. And it's a sad time of the year, yes, but we're here.
Alec, what have you found interesting?
We've hit the post-sports holiday dead zone, right? Like, so when you think of January, no holidays, everybody's depressed. This is exactly where we are.
Yeah, because May and
we have post playoffs, and the only thing you have left is baseball.
Does that mean that we're finally
in June the 21st?
There's only one question I want you to answer.
You got a week.
Well, mostly there's only one question I want you to answer right now, and that is, are we finally going to get to this alien discussion tonight? Because if we're running out of steam on baseball already, it may be time to put on the gloves and go to work.
I mean, we could continue to talk about something else. And I
mean, your Reds are terrible. Alex Red Sox are great. My Yankees are great, but it's awesome. June. So,
and Freddie Freeman sucks. So, he's our best player. Freddie Freeman sucks.
You're going to take so much hell from people that you know for saying that the Braves aren't good and that Freddie Freeman sucks, dude. You don't even realize the hell that might be coming to you for that remark.
Dude, I get the Braves are good this year. It's not sustainable. Like the season's too long. They have young players.
Have you watched?
I'm not going to sit here. And, what?
You just said you don't watch baseball. How do you know how they're playing sustainable?
I've been keeping up with way too many stats because because I watched game 1 of the NBA Finals and stopped watching and started looking up
the non-stats, non-baseball guy goes full stats, full baseball. But doesn't want to watch.
It's been a rough week.
Doesn't want to watch a single at bat.
Dude, that for me is the epitome of the sports fan that I hate right there. And Will Mostly, like, they're not good enough. It's not sustainable. Mac asks, have you watched? Will Mosley says, not a bit. That is the thing about sports fandom that makes me fucking nauseated. Like, come on.
It is what it
is. So Will Mosley, our good friend and partner here on the show,
baseball aficionado.
Coming to you from Spartanburg, South Carolina. Will, I would ask you to say hello, but I think the best hello you could have possibly given is exposing yourself as a baseball fraud.
Dude, I'll take it. How about this? I promise to the fans out there, I'll watch one Braves game this week. One whole 9-inning Braves game.
I don't believe you. What are we?
Baseball games are still 9 innings, right?
Yep.
Yes.
And they're still 3 hours long. And I don't believe that you'll watch a whole game.
I don't believe that you will watch an entire Braves game. What are we betting?
Okay, I'm looking up the Braves schedule right now.
See, here's the thing. This is an amazing thing about this. This is a bet that is 100% in Will Mosley's control, and I still think that he will lose it.
There is no way. I will sit down and live tweet a Braves baseball game this week.
I just want to say that you will, real quick, that you being at work, because I know there are a lot of TVs where you work, that does not count as watching the game.
No, because I'm only there during the day.
Okay.
So Will Mosley keeps hijacking me so I can never get to introducing our other guests. Mac Young, producer extraordinaire. How's it going, dude?
Good. How we doing today?
So anything other than Joey Votto on baseball for you?
No, I'm gonna stick with that for now.
Okay. And
I'm not gonna expose myself right now like Will did.
And our good friend Alec Uwecki, thank you so much for being here, buddy. Anything other than your Red Sox are playing well right now and it's June?
I mean, that kind of sums it up. But
yeah,
what else is there to talk about?
I mean, we'll get to it eventually, hopefully, because I'm a Yankees guy and Alec is not a Yankees guy. But it's still June, so I don't know, man. I'm ready for this World Cup to get kicked off. I know that. I'm ready to have some like other sports to talk about that we don't get to talk about all that often. Anyone have a chance to Mac? Anything on Rafa Nadal? We were texting about it a little bit this weekend.
I mean, what he's done is he's won 11. 11 French Opens.
Yeah,
it's just crazy.
11.
And
it's insane,
for the most, I mean, he is over the past 10 plus years, he's been one of the greats. And even though he's had this drop off in his play and hasn't been as consistent as with other injuries and such, I mean, he's still won 11 French Opens, and he still seems, even if the years he doesn't win, he still dominates. He still gets really far. Then he doesn't get nearly as far in these other tournaments since he started getting injury prone and he's getting older. So the fact that he's doing this in the French Open is a little mind boggling for me. It just shows how much the way of shows what like the type of the court and how important that is for the player. And that is like, I never think of that as not as a tennis player, but thinking as a tennis player that the court you have advantages and you know how to play it and play each one differently. Yeah, it's quite something to see.
I mean, I agree, man. And I think your use of the word dominant is like really fitting. Like it's hard to think of a comparison in terms of an athlete who's been that over the top, like good first place year after year in any sort of event like that. I just can't think of a comparison. And so like for me, dude, it's always sort of been interesting to me, like why don't we care more about like what he does at the French Open? And, maybe that just comes down a little bit to time zones and things like that. And so like not as many people in North America watch the French as maybe like Wimbledon or of course the US Open. But I mean, dude, it's incredibly impressive. And like the dominance it's overwhelming over like a ridiculously long time.
Yeah, I mean, it's wild over that amount of time. I think what ends up like hiding its greatness, though, is the fact that, like you said, Mac, tennis is such a unique sport because you can have such different playing styles depending on what tournament is on what court. And I think that's obviously something that's so unique. I mean, we have like home field advantages and home goals, and like you obviously know your field better than your away field, but it's nothing like a tournament moving, and it's just a complete, almost different way, the different way the ball moves, the different way your knees react and everything. And I think what's getting, like, the reason that we're not treating this as incredible as it is because it is confined to one of what is considered an equal 4 majors in his sport, you know? Like, it's not considered as a separate thing, like a separate, like the clay tournament is something that's different than a Wimbledon grass tournament. It's something different than a US hard tournament because it's almost a different sport, the way the ball moves, and because it's so different. And I think the fact that a lot of people don't think about how much difference that makes it seem like, oh, well, he only wins one of the 4 majors a year. Like, he's not good in the other 3 majors, so how good is he? And a lot of people, the average fan, aren't considering how dominant it is to be like, well, when you come on my court, you can't beat me.
Yeah, no, nail on the head, dude. That was it's weird to see. I also will comment that I think, like, growing up in the US and growing up with, like, at least parents that play tennis and, like, watch every tournament, growing up watching all the tournaments, none was bigger than, like, Wimbledon or the US. Like, the French and the Australian, I felt like in my household kind of came secondhand to those 2 others. So maybe in media as well, that doesn't play as big of a part as it does in Wimbledon in the US. But yeah, I mean, you have to, Novak and Federer have also not just won the French, but they've won all of them, and they've won all of them, like, a lot. So maybe that kind of puts Nadal in the shadow a little bit. I don't know.
I mean, the fact that his rivalry is against what's probably going to go down as the greatest tennis player of all, like, Federer has a chance here to obviously go down as the greatest of all time, undisputable. And anytime that you're in the same realm of greatness as someone who might be the greatest, you aren't remembered as highly. You're forgotten. I mean, there's plenty of people who are forgotten because of Michael Jordan, who are forgotten because they, like, lost tournaments to Tiger Woods. I mean, there are people who just get lost in history because they're playing with such greatness. And I think that's just something that we're seeing with Nadal, but it's something that's unjust because it's just being looked over how crazy it is what he's doing, when even though he's playing with these guys who are winning all of these tournaments, all of the other places in the world, none of those guys, when they step on his clay court in the French, can beat him.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I will also say that while I agree with you, he might get a little overshadowed by the fact that he's playing against one of the greats. His personality, while very humble, it comes off, and competitive and young and has a lot of energy. He's not like, so there's like Bjorg and like McEnroe. And the only reason McEnroe is reveled in history is because that dude is crazy and had a crazy, like, him and Jimmy Connors were just like nuts and had like a big boisterous, like, attitude, like, all times. And while Nadal's kind of quiet, so he's like, while his athleticism speaks for itself, he's a little bit easier to forget, I think, in that, like, regard.
And to be clear, also, I don't think that there's going to be a point where we're going to, like, forget. I agree with you, Will, that, like, I mean, but I also don't think like Rocco Mediate losing that 08 US Open to Tiger Woods, like, that's obvious to me, like, he slips into the back of consciousness a lot easier than Rafa does, having won all these French Opens, one after the next. The dominance has been insanely impressive, and I honestly can't think of any sort of scenario or comparison to other sports because, like you said, Will, like, the sport, it's almost like 3 sports within a sport through the course of, like, these majors.
Yeah, it's something different, and it's incredible that he's able to sustain what he's sustained on that. And I think obviously the easy connection to draw is it's because of his knees, and clay court's softer on his knees. And that's something that he's been able to use to his advantage to sustain his health throughout a tournament where we've seen him burn out maybe at the end of the hard court, obviously in the U.S., where he struggled a lot. And then just knowing how to use the grit that he has on a clay court and be able to dominate. Like I said, with the fact that he's playing with a guy who's probably going to go down as the greatest ever, and then Djokovic as well, and he had Andy Murray during his time, and he could still beat him at any time. And the fact that all of those guys, when they stepped on his court, couldn't beat him, I think it's taken for granted at some points that that would literally be like if just Curry was one-on-one, like LeBron, when you come play me at my gym, you can't beat me.
Well said, man. You are listening to From the Nosebleeds podcast. We'll be right back. So those were two really long segments, which is cool. But we should try to do some quick hitters here before we get out. Do you guys feel like you have sort of like one big quick hitter thing, like a one big thing for the day or something like that?
I don't real quick. Let me try to look at some stuff and think about if I have something like that.
All right, everyone take a couple minutes. I'm gonna get some water real quick.
There's no way I watch a Braves game this week.
Not a chance. When you said that, I was a little baffled.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna try.
I grew up watching Reds games almost every night with my father, and when I went home to do that again, I couldn't make it through like three innings.
There's a game on Wednesday during the day, and I'm off.
If you're scheduling
I could theoretically put it on the TV and then just like fold clothes and work in the house and watch it all day.
Yeah, but a full 9 innings, right? I watch like probably 3 innings of a Sox game every single night. And
why do you do that to yourself?
I love watching
the Reds.
I love watching the Reds. It's like, but it's not the same type of like sports watching is like watching basketball or football or something. It's like if I'm like totally swamped from work, I can turn on a baseball game and pay half attention because the action only happens like once every like 15 seconds out of a minute. It's like it's a lazy sport, and you got to be lazy when you're watching it.
It's going to be one of the hardest things. Somebody just tweeted meanwhile on Twitter, and it's a picture of it's the last thing I'll say on it. It's a picture of Kawhi, Lonzo, LeBron, Paul George, and Nurkic from Portland. And it said meanwhile on Facebook, all in Lakers jersey, and somebody just commented and just said 48 and 34.
Did you guys watch any of the U.S.-France game?
No, I mean I saw a couple highlights.
I saw some highlights.
It's been hard to like pay attention. Like the U.S. soccer thing for me is just like I'm just so disappointed. I can't get back into it. Yeah, it's like depressing.
It was just cool. I mean, I watched it, but it was just cool to see like this whole new group of guys that like have never played on this stage before go against like Dembele and Matuidi and Pogba and like beat them. And like these are known for the most part. Yelled. Yeah. Okay. Well, but they won.
Victories, man.
They had a moral victory, and they did tie like a team that's much better than them with a completely new guys that are all like 23 and under.
I feel like that happens once every 3 years for the U.S. with soccer.
Yeah, I'm just saying it was a bright spot,
dude. I really think the reason that like I'm over U.S. soccer and that I've never really been a huge fan of it and I don't really respect the program is because no program around talks more about moral victories than U.S. men's soccer. And like,
for me, and that's what they were saying during the. That's what they were saying during the broadcast the other day was like, I hope the like Taylor Twellman was like, I really hope the U.S. doesn't like count this as a win because they still tied. Like if we continue to count these things as wins, like we're not moving forward. So that's exactly what you just said.
Dude, I don't understand the math of it. Like I truly don't understand the math of how countries that have a 16th of the population of ours can be dominant in a sport like soccer, and the United States can. And I understand that you can get into like, well, kids play multiple sports here and all that. And like that, it can be an expense, that it's a pay to play sport and things like that. And all those reasons are valid, dude. But like, dude, we have so many people in this country. Like the math just doesn't make sense to me.
But like the fact is though, the kids that are developing as the most athletic kids in America still aren't choosing to play soccer at a young level. So they're not good. They're not the same. They're not like developed in that sport when they get older. The first, the second, and the third best athletes are probably still all playing baseball, basketball, and football. Like they're just not playing soccer in the majority of high schools until high school girls start fucking the captain of the soccer team instead of the quarterback on the football team. We're not going to win the World Cup. Like it comes down to high school girls fucking the soccer captain instead of the baseball team.
That is unfortunately so true.
Those 16-year-old girls
use those sports.
Okay,
well, unfortunately true.
I mean, definitely not going to comment on like the specifics of that argument, but like I'll say that, dude, we have to figure out a way to motivate some of the more athletic people around to like want to play soccer, and I think that that's something that they're going to have to do. And mostly, stop shaking your head. I'm not agreeing with you. Don't put me.
You are agreeing with me though, and because that's what I'm saying is like the most athletic kids just aren't going to go play on the soccer team because at a young age, that's what's driving you. Is popularity and his friendship and is all that, and the most popular kids and the kids that are dating a lot and the kids that are getting the girls and the kids that are like popular in school, those kids are the quarterbacks of the football team still, and they are the stars of the basketball team, and they're not the like captains of the soccer team. And I do think that I mean, it's a joking way to address the problem, obviously, but like it still stands the test that the problem is that our first and second and third best athletes just aren't choosing soccer. Like they're just not. Like the top 15 athletes in every high school, probably 14 of the 15 of them don't play soccer. And you're still going to get some athletic kids on the soccer teams because there's enough athletic kids in America, because there's enough kids in America. But they're not going to be as developed because there's not as many. We're not choosing from that big of a pool that you're talking about. Like we're still choosing from about the same size pool as a country whose everyone is playing soccer.
Except for places like Iceland, which have like 300,000 people and still field a more competitive team than us. But I think for me, it's more the like soccer is culture in Europe and it's culture in South America. And here, football's culture, right? Like I'm from the North, I'm from Connecticut, and I can tell you for a fact that my high school football team, if you were good on the football team, you got away with more than you did as any other kid in the town. Like we could do things that other people couldn't do and shouldn't have been able to do. And that's Connecticut. That's small town Connecticut. So think about like how big of football like plays into just the culture of other parts of the country. And that's what soccer, like they have gangs based off of soccer teams in Europe where they like literally used to kill each other because they didn't like, I just think that we're never going to be passionate enough about soccer to compete on like the same level as them.
And that's depressing to me, dude. Like the fact that we're about to sit here and have this entire tournament broadcast on our like on a network that is it's going to be on Fox, right? That's our network. We're going to have all these games on national TV, and our team isn't even part of it. And the tournament's been fucking expanded. Like that to me is the thing that is most frustrating by far about the entire thing. Is like FIFA even threw the United States a bone this time. They're like, we're going to let in more teams, and we still didn't fucking get in, dude.
We lost to Trinidad and Tobago.
I used to not enjoy Taylor Twellman at all, and now I totally understand where he's coming from. Because like, dude, it really feels watching U.S. soccer like those guys don't care as much and they're not working as hard. And I've never watched another professional sport where I've been like, that professional athlete is not working hard, is not working as hard to try and do well as the people around him. And I feel that way watching our soccer team.
Yeah.
That's a serious indictment of their product, is it not?
It is, but like at the same time, but like that, the reason that is because what do you care about more? Do you care more about what do we watch more? Do we watch more like U.S. national games, or do we watch more basketball games or football games or baseball games even? Like me, as a guy who hates baseball, probably watches almost as much baseball as I do soccer, like minutes wise per year. I care about the World Series probably more than I care about the MLS playoffs. Like we just don't care about it. It's not that important to us, and so if it's not that important to us, like I get it. It sucks when this comes around once every 4 years, and we have to remember how like shitty we are compared to the rest of the world at soccer. But like, okay, like that's fine. Once every 4 years, we get to dominate them in basketball and like the Olympics. We get to like do really well in other sports, and if we're not going to be the best in the world at soccer, like so what? Like I'm just tired of being like, are the next 5 years when the U.S. men's soccer team is going to take the leap? Because maybe we're just not. We're sitting around right here saying that we just don't think that America cares as much about soccer as the other people, or it's Alex saying like it's not as ingrained in us as it is in other countries. So why do we feel the need that we have to focus so much on just dominating the other countries in this one sport? Like it might just not be our thing.
But as Andrew was saying, it just seems like I agree with Andrew on this point. It just seems like those guys just don't put as much work in as those people. And those guys have the guys who are there are athletic, are good soccer players, but there's something clear about it that they do not put as much effort in as all those other top teams in the country. And they have dedicated their lives to playing this sport. So why aren't they putting in as much work as everyone else?
I mean, I see what you mean. Like, yeah, they should care more. I just don't care that they don't care.
At least as professional athletes, I think not me as a viewer, but as professional athletes, they should care more.
Yeah, they should care more as professional athletes, but I don't care as a viewer, because the only time that I question how much they care is every 4 years when they're trying to get into this tournament.
Alec Ueki, any closing thoughts on men's soccer in the World Cup?
So I do think that at some point we should go down. So are you guys going to root for a team in the World Cup?
Let's take it game by game, man. We'll see how.
You're not going to pick a team? I like Croatia. Either way. But on another note,
maybe at some point I want to know why, but let's keep going.
No, but so I was a little like, I was kind of wondering, like, because I feel like a lot of people still place, every high school has a soccer team, right? Even if they're not the most athletic kids, like every high school has a soccer team. 450,000 boys in the U.S. were high school soccer players in 2017. There are 1.35 million people in Trinidad and Tobago. We have a third of their population playing high school soccer.
Please put that statistic on.
That was great.
Put that up on the Twitter @_the Nosebleeds. That is a stat of the day if I've ever heard one. It's just ridiculous, man. It's honestly, and I understand. Like, I think what Will Mosley is saying about it, I think that's probably more characteristic of the vast majority of people in our country. But for someone like me who does care about sports in probably like a more identifiable way than most, like, dude, it's just ridiculous to me that we can't qualify. Like, the numbers, like I said at the start of the segment, dude, the numbers are exasperating. They make no sense at all. And so I guess we're going to sit and we're going to watch a World Cup that our country isn't a part of, and Alec can root for Croatia, and I guess we can root for individual players or whatever, but come on, we can't lie to ourselves here. It's bullshit that our team's not in it. And dude, I can't even imagine how bad the people at Fox are kicking themselves over what they paid to broadcast this ridiculous thing that's going to be put on every single airwave and every bar, and our team's not even a part of it. But you're listening to From the Nosebleeds podcast. We're going to come back with a couple quick hitters, close up shop. Keep it right here.
Yeah, I thought that was actually a really good segment when it came down.
It was a good segment.
I don't know. Halfway through that argument, I just thought about like the reverse of everyone being like, we only care about soccer once every 4 years. Like, why are we making this big of a deal out of it? And I don't know. That's just how I feel about like being disappointed in them at this point. It's just like, I only care once every 4 years. So why am I really that mad at them? But I definitely think that they should have still like done it. That's just terrible that we're going to do that this summer.
What do you guys want to do for this quick hitter or whatever?
I would just say like between 4 and 6 more minutes. It doesn't have to be anything all that crazy. Anything in particular, Mosley, that caught your eye this week?
I'm trying to think. There was our college baseball fans, like the most fanatic fans out there, like the most crazy.
That's a pretty good question.
I can't.
I have an example.
I can't speak.
I thought of that. I'll bring up an example if to just kick us off. If anyone wants to rebuttal with any other fan that they think is probably the most wild ass, just crazy fanatic fan, really.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I think as those soccer fans that each MLS team has, that always sit in the corner or behind a goal that are always like have flags and cheering and throwing smoke on the field. I feel like they're pretty up there.
Are we talking about like only American fans, or are we?
Let's stick to American fans for now.
Okay.
Right.
All right, so we will break. I'm going to come back and do some final intros, and then we'll get into that and close up shop.
Word. Also, just thinking that we're going into that last segment, are we going to say anything about the NHL finals wrapping up?
That can be a quick hitter too. Someone could comment on Ovi Sellies.
Yeah.
Word.
I'll say something about that. We can go
from the fanatic, like, of being a fan to, like, the craziness of, like,
winning your first cup
celebrations, and then go into OV celebrations that way to end it.
Sounds good.
Word.
What is going on, everyone? My name is Andrew Levin. Thank you so much for listening to our podcast. This is From the Nosebleeds. Want to give a big shout out and thank you to my good friends, Mac Young, producer.
What's up, people?
Will Mosley, who is hanging out at his place in Spartanburg, South Carolina.
What's up? What's up? You're welcome for the art, everybody.
Yes, that phenomenal art that he decided to have in his background today, which is, I'm not going to call it distracting, but it's definitely there. It is over you. And Alec Gurecki, who is coming to us from somewhere in the Northeast. What's going on, buddy?
How's it going, guys?
So, as always, we like to sort of close up shop with a couple quick hitters, just things that we felt like we wanted to get out there and voice a couple takes here and there. Felt like it wouldn't take up a whole segment necessarily, and so I know Will Mosley's got something at college basketball. Mac Young, possibly something on the Washington Capitals winning their first Stanley Cup in franchise history. So, Will Mosley, take it away, man.
I'm actually not going to go college basketball the way that, like, your mind might have just instinctively told you to say basketball when you thought of me, because I said baseball actually a minute ago.
I know.
I think that baseball fans, while I was watching probably my first full hour or so of baseball of the year, I was watching the South Carolina Gamecocks play Arkansas in the Super Regional in college baseball, and a fan disagreed with a pitch, and he continued to stare down and point at the umpire for the next 11 straight minutes without breaking, pointing at him, screaming at him, and staring him down, telling him he made a bad call. And to that point, I just feel that watching the college baseball playoffs here leading into the College World Series, college baseball parents and fans might be the most true fanatics in any sport.
I'm just gonna say this, throw this out there. See, since I didn't actually watch the game, I feel like most of the sports I've been watching recently, maybe because it's playoff time or maybe because it's more professional sports, there's more cheering going on than might be at a college baseball game. So the fact that it might be quiet and this guy could get an audience of him staring down someone might have made him get a little bit more TV time than he would at, say, NBA Finals.
Dude, day baseball games in the college super regionals are not quiet, non-cheering events. Those things are loud. There are a lot of people in there, and that's going on in Charlotte or Raleigh, which South Carolina fans are traveling to.
At the same time, though,
fans are there. Those are loud.
Baseball is a quiet game compared to the sports we've been talking about so far.
And I will say this, you threw a qualifier on there when you said college baseball fans and parents, which means that the crowd is already so small you can pick out the parents in it. So
we all know parents are crazy.
Baseball is that the parents and the fans of the team all sit together, and casual spectators and people from the area of wherever they're playing the super regional sit in some part too, and you just zone in on 14 dads who are going crazy because their son's on ESPN, which is understandable. But at the same time,
that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying they're the loudest, guys. I'm not saying they're the crazy, the most hilarious to get videos of. I'm saying they're the most fanatic.
Yeah,
that's where we get the word fan from. They're the most fanatic people on the planet because they are crazy delusional.
I mean,
I'm saying this dude he didn't flip out over a hit pitch or somebody throwing somebody out of a game. It was a ball that just was kind of on the corner.
Probably
in the third inning of a baseball game.
Yeah, but
there was a ball that was on the corner on a 2-1 pitch that he felt that was important enough to his life as a 45-plus-year-old man to stare at an umpire for over 5 straight minutes and point at him.
But I just don't think that for me, I think it's college football. And I personally think that at least 2 of you should know that much better than I do because you're from college football parts of the country. But how many kids do you know named after college baseball players? There are legitimately people in multiple parts of the country where their entire family is either named after star players on a college football team or just the college football team.
So the guy who's from New England
in Alabama. And I'm from New England, but I know that that's there.
No, I mean, you have Brady, dude. That's kind of what I was getting at.
Well, exactly, yeah. Where Mac and I went to school in Massachusetts, half the kids are named Brady or Robert or William. But
do you think kids are going to be named Ovi in 9 years or 25 years? You're going to be a dad and your 17-year-old daughter is going to bring some guy home and his name's going to be Ovi.
Well, I think that would be a red flag after we've seen how hard this guy, well deserved, even though he did win his first Stanley Cup this week. As a father, I'd be a little bit cautious after watching these videos and these news stories that have come through of his antics as far as going to a Nationals game and oh my God. And yeah, drinking out of the Stanley Cup, swimming in the fountain, sleeping with the cup naked.
Not just drinking out of the cup. doing a keg stand out of the Stanley Cup.
He did a
like
keg
the
stand
king
out of
that he
Lord
is, and I've said on these airwaves before that I hate when people break bad streaks.
He's doing
like
it right.
Depressing, sad streaks in their life. I want those to keep going, and I didn't want him to win it. Watching him with the Stanley Cup is so enjoyable. It has turned my heart of stone. And I truly am happy that he got it, because watching that big, rugged Russian monster of a human flip upside down to stick his hairy face down in the Stanley Cup and chug light beer out of it was one of the most beautiful things I've ever watched on the internet.
And the next day, from a hotel room, he is asleep naked to it. He's had his way with it the past couple of days, and it has been fun to watch.
I mean, I think it's fair to say that there's no one in sports who's having more fun right now than he is. And like you said, Mac, like pretty well deserved, as much as I hate to admit that. I'm also not sure that there's a person in sports who looks more like the struggle of 13 years trying to win a championship
So
than that guy does. Like, I mean,
right? Like, such a true statement.
So, I mean, a lot's happened over the past few days, and it looks like a little may happen over the course of this summer. But thank you guys so much for listening. We're going to keep things interesting, keep them real fun this summer for you guys. Me and Will Mosley will eventually have that alien debate. That is happening at some point this summer. We will keep selling that shit to keep you coming back. But thank you so much. This has been another episode of From the Nosebleeds podcast. My name is Andrew Levin. Mac Young, anything before we get out of here this evening?
I've got nothing. We had fun today.
Alec?
Get ready for some baseball, boys.
Well, mostly, I have to say you've set the bar quite high for, oh God, that's a terrible for what I'm about to say. You've set the bar quite hard for over-the-shoulder art, my friend. So you're gonna have to keep that for sure.
Will do.
Have fun with that Braves game, buddy.
For everybody out there, aliens are real. I will watch a Braves baseball game this week, and I love you guys.
@_the Nosebleeds. Find us on SoundCloud, the Nosebleed Sports Podcast. Thank you so much.
But really, love you guys.
That was a good one.